Hello, dear teacher. Nice to see you. Unfortunately, I can't hear you, but still, I'm very happy that you're here today. So, my name is Yulia Belanok. I'm a teacher and a teacher trainer at online school Skyeng. And traditionally, let me know if you can hear and if you can see me well. Maybe a plus or something in the chat box. Okay, I see the first pluses. Hello and thank you. Thank you, so it means I can continue. Today, as you know, it is the last webinar in the series of webinars conducted by Skyeng. I hope all webinars were informative for you, and I hope this webinar will be as useful as the previous ones. So, a couple of words about our procedure. For 40 minutes, maybe more, maybe less, depending on how much questions and how much comments, how many questions and comments you will have. I'm going to speak, and at the end of our webinar there will be time for answer and question and answer, if you have any important questions, please put them in a special section which is called Вопросы. I think you know that, because I see a lot of familiar surnames and some colleagues from Skyeng, so I'm sure you know what to do. So today's topic is one of the major headache of teachers. I think you will agree with me that homework gives us too many worries. So that's why we've chosen this topic to discuss. So, and before we start, I want to know some information about you, about your student, and our organizer will launch a poll now, and the question: how do your students do their homework? And for variance, most of my students don't do their homework at all. Number two, B, my students do their homework not properly. Then my students do their homework not regularly, and most of my students do their homework regularly. And variant D. So, thank you for voting. I see variant 4 is leading. Let's wait a couple of minutes. Okay. So, we have lucky people today. Variant 4 is leading. It means that your students do homework regularly. And on the second place, it is your students do their homework not regularly. Okay, so probably lucky teachers can share some tips with us today, how they have such an ideal situation. So thank you for voting, thank you for being so active, and so let's move on. 1 second. So, what are common problems with homework? So first of all, teachers have to persuade students that homework is an essential part of a learning process, without which the progress is impossible. Then we should keep balance between tasks, not too few but not too many, because lots of homework can discourage students as well. Then another issue is how to check homework online, what tools to use, then how to make it interesting, and finally what resources to use. So, and today we are going to consider most of these points. And mainly I'm going to focus on one-to-one online teaching, though some ideas can be applicable to offline education. Some of the strategies might seem to be time-consuming, but you know that a good teacher sometimes spends more time on preparation than on lesson itself. So, dear participants, probably if I haven't mentioned any problems but you have them, you can let me know in the chat. Maybe some other worries. So you can think and let me know a bit later. I think I can comment on them. So, let's see how to encourage students to do homework. First of all, I think the best variant, the best idea is to show, of course, practical value. What is it? We need to show that homework will help our students to achieve their learning aims, and that homework will help them to reinforce material learned at the lesson. Can you give me example of some frequent learning goals, some frequent reasons for learning English? Maybe it's example of your students. For example, it's a job interview, or they want to take exam. What are the most frequent learning goals? So let me wait a second. I see somebody is typing. For travel, for work, right? Thank you, Katerina. Entering an institute, to go abroad, to be able to speak, right? Thank you, Yana. For tourism, Veronica, that's right. Future career, good. Taking an exam, job interview, right? Thank you, Elvira. Again, I think some other reasons for good marks. I see, that is teenagers or pupils that feel pressure from a family. Right, so what I'm leading to is that pay attention to the way you assign homework. It's not a good idea to say exercise 2, page 60, do that for Monday, Friday, and so on. So we should always focus on learning aims. For example, this exercise will help you to ask for directions correctly, right? If it is, if the learning goal is for traveling, or this exercise will help you to ask questions politely at your job interview, and so on and so forth. Not just also an exercise 10, but this exercise, in this exercise you will practice word formation. So I hope you get an idea, so that we should always focus on practical value, how this homework can help student to achieve his or her learning goals, and what skills he or she can gain. Okay, then second kind of motivation, but unfortunately it doesn't always work, is assessment. Assessment, I mean here when you give points and grades for doing homework. So I have one student who likes this assessment points, and when he came to me, he had 75 or 78, I don't remember exactly, for his first homework. Then it was maybe 82, 83, then it will be 91. So, and so at every lesson he say, okay, next time I will get 100. So that I don't know why, but he has this need for achievement, and these points they really work, but not always, of course. You can give points for doing homework or grades, but not only. You can give badges or speaking, or feedback in a form of speaking characters. Let's have a look at the next slide. You see two pictures. The first is on the left. So it is called voki.com, and it's a website where you can find and not only find, you can create there speaking characters for education. So maybe you are familiar with that. I'm going to give you a link. It's just example of my Voki, and we'll tell you more about that, why I use it and how I do that. So please follow the link. You will see a picture there, and please, at the bottom of the picture you can click and watch this character speaking. So I'm going to wait for a couple of seconds and then continue talking. Okay, I think I will continue. So why I use this character, a speaking character? For example, my student who is not really motivated, he sends me homework to check. I usually check it and send it back and add this Voki, this speaking character. I choose a character unfortunately, not characters are free. I change design, like I change here clothes, usually hairstyle. It's kind of fun for me, like a computer game. Then I write a text which is feedback. For example, your homework was good, but pay attention about the weak points, about strong points in general. And after that, I choose a voice, right, of native speaker, and voice this character over. By the way, you can voice it over yourself. So it can be used for feedback, for written feedback, or for reminding about homework. So, any questions about Voki? I'm not sure you even watched it, because no reaction in the chat. I hope everything is familiar. Everything is clear, sorry, about Voki. Okay, thank you for your reaction. Yeah, especially it looks interesting for teenagers. I don't have teenagers, only adults, but they like it. And this is not that I do every day. This only with students who are not really motivated, and maybe once a week, maybe even twice or 3 times a month, not really often, because they will get used quickly to that, and that sense of novelty will disappear. So this is just some kind of fun, and especially if you work with children, it works. So there are different options on Voki. It's not only speaking characters. After our webinar, you can click on this link and explore, and you can find there a lot of interesting material. So great. And then have a look, please, on the right. You see a badge. I think everyone is familiar with gamification. Gamification is trendy today, and everyone is into it. So again, I designed that badge using website openbadges.me. I will give you a link, probably that can be interesting for you. Again, if my students, that student who likes getting grades and points, if he gets more than 90%, so it's excellent, I give him this badge, more than 90% homework, and I usually put these badges in online board like Padlet. I create Padlet for him and write date and this badge, date and this badge, and I have also another kind of badges which are higher. So some such kind of game, so that is gamification, but of course very simplified. Right, if you don't have any questions about Voki and badges, I can move on talking further. I see no comments, no questions. So next thing which might help your student to remind him about homework, it is this learning calendar. So when I have a new student, I usually design or show him or her how to design this calendar. And the main idea here to explain how we should organize this homework routine. For example, if I have 2 lessons with my student on Monday and on Wednesday, ideal time for doing homework will be Tuesday and Thursday, because homework should be done within 24 up to 48 hours, because that's how our memory works. If you learn something after 24, maximum 48 hours, you have more chances to memorize it. So that we need to explain that to our student, that routine is essential, regularity is the most important. So it should be like a habit. Every Tuesday's homework, every Thursday's homework. And of course you can see Friday I also suggest him or her doing some extra work, like reading books or watching TV. I mean not TV, I mean films, right, or some TV series. Then our students should realize that learning language is a difficult but interesting work. So that's it, but that happens only once. You show your student, and then if he wants, he can keep that learning calendar. So great, let's move on with you. If you have any question or comments, feel free and write in the chat, because today's chat is not so active. I don't know why. I hope everyone is in a good mood, everyone is active and ready to learn. So, how to make homework interesting and other questions. First of all, the solution is simple, connected to students' interest. That means that even if you use a workbook, PDF workbook, for online homeworks, you can choose some additional task within within the bounds of students' interest. For example, you can choose for listening practice, you can choose interview with his favorite celebrity, or some episode, some extract or program about cooking, or about shopping, or about car racing, so on and so forth. And for example, if it's writing, for you, like for a teacher, it doesn't matter what topic to choose if you need to practice for and against essay. So choose a topic which can cause emotional response. So whenever you have a chance, so please choose something which is connected to students' interest. Elvira is writing. We are listening carefully and trying to remember things. Elvira, you don't have to. You will have this presentation. Okay, but anyway, thank you for reaction. So so the first point is to connect to students' interest, because the best motivation is when students are interested and engaged. Then it is use technologies and make tasks authentic. Let's have a closer look to use of technologies. So, why we need to use that? I've already told you previously that today's generation of young people, and even not very young, they are really interested in gadgets and internet, computers. That's why, if it's possible, we can try to use some technologies, some online tools for homework. And I've already shown you maybe a lot of times Padlet. I hope you're not tired of it. And I will give you a link to look closer. No, sorry, I can't find it at the moment. I think you can open it after webinar. So the task here was to find a picture of 3D painting and describe it in your own words. This was a task from a speaking club. So Padlet is a kind of online board where students can post their comments in a natural way. So it's again kind of writing, but in a more creative way. They can read each other comments and post theirs. I think no need to tell you more, because I think everyone today present familiar with Padlet. And now another tool is Glogster. This is a fantastic tool for creating multimedia posters. Multimedia, it means that you can put text here and pictures and video. So I will give you this link. One moment, you can open that and have a closer look. So, why I use this Glogster? Instead of just writing, I don't know if you have such problem, but most of my students, I don't know why they don't like writing. This is a real problem. Maybe because that's why I don't like writing myself. Probably that's it. And I try to give them something more interesting, not just writing sites, describing sites of the city, but do that in a creative way, to write the text and add video and add pictures. So this looks engaging, and that appeals to my student. This example of my student I've sent you, of course this text was corrected a bit, and Glogster unfortunately is not free, so you can create one account I mean paid account, and give access, login and password to all your students, and they can create these multimedia posters. Also sound interesting. There are a lot of different design here, right? Nadezhda, I had the same problem too. Problem with writing. Yeah. I have the same writing. Glue to help me. I can't say that it helps me every time, but from time to time, to bring some novelty and some kind of excitement, you can use something like that, because it's not so interesting just to give writing and that's all, right? Maybe only my CA students are motivated because they will get marks. So thank you, Olga. Explore that. Students prefer printing now. Right, Angelogic. Students prefer, yeah, they write like typing, right? Not writing. Yeah, they don't like notebooks, exercise books. That's why. But it's not bad. You can ask them to put to write something on and put it in blogs or forums. Elena, thank you. Thinlink.com is also great. Okay, thank you, Elena. I will explore after that. It is the same. Annotate images and video. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. So let's move on with you to next tool, VoiceThread. Probably you are also familiar with that. How we can use it. The main idea here, if you work one-to-one, or even if you have a group, you can use it in the following way. Your student can find a picture, he can describe this picture, he can write dialogue, he can voice the dialogue over. For example, instead of just asking him or her to make sentences with new words, I can ask him, make a dialogue with new words and voice it over. And to voice it over, it's very easy to use here, VoiceThread. But the main disadvantage, I've already mentioned that before in my previous webinar, is that it's not free to download. You need to pay money to download this VoiceThread. But anyway, it's a great tool so to use. And of course, there are a lot of other resources, and I don't want to repeat myself. You can probably you were present at my previous webinar about online resources, or you can watch it in recording and find there a lot of useful links which you can use for homework as well. So let's talk with you about authentic tasks. Authentic tasks, they are such kind of tasks which native speakers of a language do in their normal everyday life. This can be, what kind of authentic task can be assigned as homework? Watching videos and interviews on YouTube. By the way, I really like short videos. I use them not only at the lesson but as a homework. I find something really short, because I know most of my students get tired very quickly, because maybe they have too much information. No one wants to watch very long videos. So I find something really short and better connected to the topic. For example, if we read an article about famous museum in Bangkok at the lesson, I usually give them some video from YouTube where a guide is describing what is inside this museum, and of course I give some comprehension questions. So then, of course, it's TED Talks. It's a great website, but unfortunately for high intermediate and upper intermediate students. And of course, it's better to design some kind of worksheet, not just watch it, and that's all. We need to have some true-false statements, some questions to answer. Then it is watching TV shows and films, of course, reading articles on the internet, like New York Times, The Guardian, also for higher levels, and some practical tasks. If you have a look at our slide, You see screenshot from car rentals. What I wanted to show you is that, for example, if you teach your student how to rent a car abroad, for example, if his learning goal is traveling, after your lesson you can ask him at home to book a car himself. So this is practical, authentic task that will help him to memorize and to recycle all materials which you learned. Okay. Ekaterina is asking, from what letter do you give such task? Not only TED. On what level do you give such task? Not only TED. You mean, Ekaterina, you mean YouTube or TV shows, films, right? Ekaterina, YouTube, I can start with pre-intermediate, because I explain, even high elementary, I explain my student. You don't have and you don't really need to understand every word. You need to understand only maybe 50% for lower level. It is enough. Just watch the video for general comprehension and just answer one question or two questions, that's all. In such a case, not for detailed listening, for general listening, you can start giving videos from YouTube or Vimeo, starting from even high elementary, pre-intermediate, intermediate. It's a good idea, and I can tell you that all my students like watching videos, short videos from YouTube. So, of course, there are a lot of different maybe examples and tasks. This is just the most frequent. So let's move on with you. And we have another poll, and the question is, how do you check your homework if you work online? And variants which we have here. A, I give homework which is automatically checked. B, I check myself before the lesson. C, I check with my student at the lesson. And D, my student checks themselves with workbook keys. And E, other. Okay, please choose variant which is suitable for you. Let's wait a couple of seconds. Actually 1 plus 2. So give homework automatically check and check before the lesson. So Elena, you probably work with Vimbox, at Vimbox, yes? 1, 2 and 3. All options possible. Okay, thank you. Leading variant is I check myself before the lesson. Okay, right. That's good. Sometimes it can be time consuming. There are 2 and 3. Right, I check myself before the lesson and I check with my student at the lesson. Okay, so let's see closer what is the best variant to do, what is advantages and disadvantages. Because if you check homework with student at the lesson, you might lose some precious time. This is maybe the biggest disadvantage. So, the ideal variant is when homework is automatically checked and you can see your students' results. Like in Vimbox, you know, it's a platform which we use at Skyeng, and you need to choose the task for homework. The system checks it automatically, gives points, you see in this picture 10 points, and you can see how your student performs this task. So it's really convenient. But if you don't work in Vimbox, there are other options how to do that. So how to check homework? First of all, you can give key for self-check. A key which are usually in workbook. You can ask your student to do exercises, then to check himself with the key and ask you some questions if he has difficulties. When I worked offline, from time to time I use that method too, because when you have 6 or 7 students in the group, it's really impossible for a teacher to check all their homework. Then that's why if you work in a big group, sometimes it's a good way out for students to self-check. Or there's another option if you work offline. It's like peer correction. You can give correct answers on the board and ask your student to check your neighbors, like to exchange workbooks, to check them, and you focus only on some difficult points. So then another idea is to check homework in Google Docs, in Google Presentation, to check in PDF, or to use resources which are checked automatically. So let's consider some of them. So homework in Google Docs, Google Presentations. So Yelena, learning apps also allows for self and check it afterwards. Yelena, what do you mean you can't check it afterwards? You mean you can't see how your student does the task? This is right? Right, I'm going to talk about learning apps. It's a great resource. I will tell you how I do it. So let me return to Google Presentations. If you, for example, use a workbook, but you don't want to give the whole PDF, just some of these exercises, you can make screenshots, put them in Google Presentations, and ask your student to type. He can do that using a tab which is called Insert, and then text box. He insert this text box in the gaps, and he or she can type that, and you can see. So really convenient. Then the same, but how to write in PDF. Maybe you don't know, just want to share with you some technical side of online. You can in PDF you can find инструменты, then заполните подписать. And you can write, your student can write in the gaps and then send that to you. So some tools that can make your and your students' life easier. As for some other resources which are checked automatically, they are learning apps, which Elena has already mentioned, and I give you example of my task from Navigate Print Immediate Book. You can open and have a look. So why is it so convenient? Once you created exercise here, maybe not created, but you've copied that from workbook, and you only have to send a link in the future to your student and they will do that. To see how they did it, Elena, you can ask your students to make screenshots. I don't know why, maybe my students are very honest with me, but I ask them to give screenshot first time they press check and I see mistakes, and then how they do it at the end, like 2 screenshots, and I give them access to Google Docs or to Google Presentations, and they download themselves these screenshots. So learning apps I like it very much. It's one of my favorite. There are different types of tasks here, like sorting, classifications, matching, quizzes, videos. Really fantastic, brilliant. If you don't use it, it's high time to use it. So one more. So Ekaterina, sorry, is writing, and progress you can control in your class. You can register student there, right, and check all the activities she done. Ekaterina, you mean learning apps probably. I can't get it. Maybe yes, right. Anyway, you need to be registered. You need to be registered to create task, but your student doesn't have to be registered to do that. Great. Something like that is Quizlet, but I think learning apps, first of all, it's absolutely free, no matter how many exercises you put there. And secondly, I think learning apps has bigger variety of exercises, which I really like. So, Ekaterina, when you register your student there, you can see her progress. Ekaterina, okay, yeah, great. I understood what you mean. Right. Thank you for such tip. So let's move on with you and some other resources which can be automatically checked. For example, if you prepare your student for Cambridge exams, you can use this website and choose different tasks and train different skills like use of English, that is grammar and vocabulary, and reading and listening, and again it's automatically checked. When exercise is automatically checked, Elena already mentioned its disadvantage earlier, is that you can't control it and you can't see progress, but you can always ask your student to make screenshot for you and you can see that. But the advantage of that is it's really it can help you to save time. So Ekaterina, I used it once for checking my level and it was proficient, but it isn't true. Ekaterina, it depends. We have skills. For example, maybe use of English can be proficient but speaking not, or maybe reading can be proficient, and so on. So it's kind of difficult question. So let's move on. And one more interesting tool, which is called Write and Improve. I will give you a link to that. Anyway, you will get all links later, but just in case you are really curious about that. If your student has to write a lot of essays, writings, maybe writing is his weak point, maybe you are preparing him or her for FC or CA, you can from time to time you can try to use this tool. What is the idea of that? Your student upload his essay here on this website. If you look at the picture on the left, you see his original variant, or her original, sorry, it was her original variant. And when she presses check, on the right she gets feedback. It is written, congratulations, your level is B1 or B2, and so on. And the system highlights sentences with wrong collocations or with wrong grammar. And the student has to think again how to paraphrase these sentences. I mean, this system, it can't check properly. Of course, not as properly as teacher can do that. But from time to time, if it is a lot of writing. For example, my student had holidays for 2 months in summer. And I know that writing is her weak point, was her weak point, and I gave you this tool and she wrote a couple of essays there, not to forget language. Okay, so and let's move on. So, and finally, another interesting question: what to do if your student doesn't do homework? Probably some teachers who have such problems and such kind of experience can share their ideas, can share their examples how they do that. And while you are doing that, I will share my experience and my opinion. First of all, what I usually do, I remind my students about learning goals, because I tell him or her it is really impossible to see progress if you don't do that. Like homework is a part of our learning process, and maybe I usually use different words, but idea is this one. Then when I give homework, I try to catch interest. I will show how to do that. So let's imagine that you need to give your student this text for reading. How to get him interested? What I usually do, I ask my student, for example, do you know how to behave yourself if you see a bear, or do you know how to survive a bear attack? And he or she say, maybe, I don't know. And I usually say, okay, read the article and find out. Or another example, ask, I pick one interesting detail in the article and ask him, do you know who is the youngest billionaire ever? And he say, no, I don't know. So then read the text and find out. So I try to catch his attention and to keep him or her interested. And this way I can encourage him or her to do this reading. Of course, you can use Voki, which I've shown you before, to remind your student about homework, like, my dear student, don't forget to do your homework because, and so on. You can invent the text yourself. And another idea, if your student doesn't do homework maybe at all, or not regularly, not properly, and he needs some assistance, you can offer him to have one more lesson. For example, if you have 2 lessons a week, you can have one lesson, one more plus one more additional lesson, extra lesson. At this lesson you can do homework with him together. Sometimes it helps. So probably you can share some more ideas how to encourage your students. Maybe I haven't mentioned them before. Jana is writing, sometimes I ask my students what homework they would like to get, so that they could choose something according to their interest. Yes, Jana, it's a very good idea to ask them. First of all, at my first lesson with a new student, I ask him or her how much time he's prepared to spend on homework. Right, and maybe what kind of homework, home task he would like to get is also a very good idea. Like, would you like to read an article, or would you like to watch an interview? Yeah, Jana, thank you very much. Why it is a good idea? Because you give a choice. If you give a choice, you can increase his or her motivation. So, Leisan, some of my pupils like role plays. They imagine maybe that they are famous film stars that came to the court or to school. Oh, wonderful, Leisan. Or they discuss fashion, favorite kinds of sports, cuisine, and put on act. It's easier for them than to give their own opinion. Right, Leisan, wonderful idea. Everyone likes role plays, not only teenagers, not only kids, because role plays, they seem to be real, they seem to be authentic, I think. So, Natalia, very useful information. May I get a short list of the sites which were mentioned in the webinar, or download the presentation? Natalia, don't worry, you will get this presentation and recording of the webinar within 1 or 2 days. So you will get all these links that was mentioned before. Okay. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. If you have any kind of questions, I will be happy to answer them. Don't forget that our chat is jumping. If you have something very important, please write them in the special section. So let me have a look at our chat. To rely on students' interest. Try not to give a time-consuming homework. Yeah, Vera, this is really important. Students' interest should be in the center. Елена, I annotate essays on thin link. Students seem to love it. Thank you, Елена, for sharing. I will try to do that. So one more question. So about certificates, I think that question to our moderator. So Anna, can you please tell us? As far as I know, all participants will get some kind of a short quiz and get a certificate. So I think our moderator will write the information in the chat. Yes, sir. So Yulia, I've answered your questions. Елена, is this the last seminar in the course? Yes, Елena, this is the last webinar on this course, but I think in future we are going to have another webinars. This is not the last. So, Anastasia, thank you for sharing useful resources. I'll try to apply them in the nearest future. Thank you, Anastasia, for being so active, for asking questions. Right, you will get all information. Thank you. So, dear teachers, I'm waiting maybe a minute or two. If you don't have any questions, then I'm happy to be useful for you and to share with you this information. Thank you for listening, for watching, and for attending. Thank you. very useful, very informative. Yes, Vera, thank you very much. I hope to see you next. Use something even today, okay? Thank you, Marina. Thank you. I'll be here, I will switch off the video, but I will be here for 5 or 10 minutes. If you have any other questions, I will be able to answer them. So thanks a lot. I wish you to have effective, productive lessons and to have very motivated students. Thank you, Irina, for your kind feedback. So, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you and goodbye.